All of you who are prone to putting things off are no strangers to the dark playground. It's a place where people go to have fun when it's not their time to have fun. Enjoyable in the dark playground isn't really fun since it's undeserved and you're surrounded by excellent procrastinator emotions like guilt, dread, anxiety, and self-hatred. How can the procrastinator, with a monkey at the wheel, cross over to the blue zone, a less desirable region but one where the most crucial work is done? It turns out that the procrastinator is protected by a guardian angel named the panic monster, who is there for him even at his darkest moments. The panic monster sleeps most of the time, but he awakens when a deadline is approaching or when there is a chance of humiliation, job failure, or some other frightening result. Also, the monkey fears nothing else as much as he does. Now, he just recently became very significant to me because, about 6 months ago, the folks at TED reached out to me and offered me to do a TED Talk. Naturally, I agreed. Having given a TED Talk in the past has always been a goal of mine. And yet, in the midst of all this activity, the rational decision maker looked preoccupied with something else. He said, "Do we understand what is now going to be happening one day in the future, in light of what we just accepted? We need to have a meeting right now to discuss this." And the monkey responded, "Totally agree, but let's just open Google Earth and zoom into the bottom of India, like 200 feet above ground. And scroll up for 2.5 hours till we get to the top of the country, so we can get a better feel for India." Indeed, that's what we did that day. 6 months slipped into 4, then 2, then 1, and finally the TED staff decided to let the speakers go. When I logged into my account, the first thing I saw was my own face. Who do you think awoke? So the panic monster starts freaking out, and a few seconds later everything is in disarray. And the monkey, who is afraid of the panic monster, has blasted his way up a tree. Now that the rational decision maker has taken over, I can get down to business on the presentation. The panic monster, on the other hand, provides a rationale for a wide range of seemingly irrational procrastinatory practices, such as my own experience of struggling for 2 weeks to write the first sentence of a paper before suddenly mustering the unbelievable work ethic to stay up all night and produce 8 pages. And everything that's happened with these 3 people so far, that's procrastinator's system. It's ugly, but it gets the job done. 2 years ago, I made the decision to focus my blog on this topic. The reception I received after saying so was unexpectedly large. There were hundreds of emails sent from individuals all around the world doing all sorts of things. Many PhD candidates and academic professionals such as nurses, bankers, artists, and engineers are included. And they were all writing, stating variations on "I have this problem too." Something about the juxtaposition between the post's cheery tone and these serious responses really stood out to me. The authors expressed extreme anger at the damage procrastination and the monkey had done to their lives. I reflected on this, wondering what was going on if the procrastinator's method was effective. Where did everyone go wrong for these people? Actually, there are 2 distinct forms of putting things off. All of the things I've said and presented as examples today have specific times by which they must be completed. Since the panic monster steps in to help out when deadlines are approaching, the negative impacts of procrastination are mitigated for the time being. Nonetheless, there is a second form of procrastination that occurs in the absence of a time limit. Therefore, if you're looking for a vocation that encourages initiative, such as the arts or entrepreneurship, you may take your time getting started because there are no deadlines until you've put in the groundwork. There are many things that matter outside your profession but have no hard limits, such as spending time with loved ones, taking care of your physical and mental health, mending a broken relationship, or ending one altogether. Now, if the procrastinator relies only on the panic monster to get through these challenging tasks, that's a problem since the panic monster doesn't appear in any of these non-time sensitive scenarios. There is no limit to the ripples of his inertia since he has nothing to motivate him to get out of bed. This type of procrastination, which extends over a longer period of time, is rarely discussed in comparison to the more humorous, deadline-based variety. When this happens, it's generally endured in secret. It's a major cause of disappointment and regret in the long run. That's why they're emailing, I realized, and that's why they're in such a rut. They aren't trying to pull an all-nighter to finish a report. It's because they've put things off for so long that they sometimes feel like an outsider looking in at their own life. The disappointment isn't in their failure to realize their goals, but in their inability to even begin working toward them. As I was reading these messages, I had a sudden realization: I don't believe in non-procrastinators. That's correct, I have a bad feeling about all of you. Although not everyone here is a hot mess, and some of you may even work well under pressure. It's important to keep in mind that the monkey's most devious trick occurs when there are no deadlines to worry about. I have one more item to demonstrate. A life calendar, as I've dubbed it. If you live to be 90, that's 1 box per week of your life. Given that we've already utilized a good number of them, that's not a very large number of boxes. So, I propose we all take a good, long look at the schedule. Everyone puts off doing at least one thing they should be doing in favor of putting off doing something else. The monkey of instant satisfaction is something we must always be wary of. It's our collective responsibility to do it. Given the very small number of containers involved, work could likely begin today. Maybe not just now, but you're right. Sooner or later. As always, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching How to Look Inside the Mentality of a Professional Delayer, and forget to subscribe to my channel, please.